What is going on, everybody? I am back with some UFC 268 predictions. I'm just going over the main cards. Salute to my boy Mike Dang. He requested this video and also asked what I think about Logan Paul potentially fighting Mike Tyson, as it is rumored to be Mike Tyson's next fight. I'm going to touch on that at the end of the video, but for now, let's get straight into UFC 268's predictions. In the welterweight championship, Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington, man. I'm going with the Nigerian Nightmare. Colby Chaos Covington and Usman, they had a great fight the first time, but I mean, it was really more domination from Usman. Usman is a dominant performer. It has been far from the days where he was fighting at 30%. This man is at 100%, and until we see another challenger. I don't even know who it's going to be thinking about it. I mean, they've got Usman ranked as the #1 pound for pound fighter right now in the world. I mean, he's being already labeled as one of the, if not the greatest fighter of all time, even above GSP, people are starting to say. And in his dominant performances, I understand why, especially when you look at the landscape of the welterweight division and you see there's really nobody in far sight that is going to be able to threaten Kamaru Usman's reign at this time. Dominant champion, and I see that continuing tonight. And this next fight, I'm not so sure, but I am going with Rose Namajunas in the strawweight championship to defend her belt again against Weili Zhang. I mean, I don't even care. I get it, politics, whatever. Carla Esparza's not talking to the media enough, but this rematch should be between Carla Esparza. I digress, though. We'll talk about that another time. Um, I mean, if you even just go to YouTube, like the weigh-in between Esparza and Namajunas had like 40 million views. It was like the first inaugural title fight. What history rematch? It's awesome. It makes a lot of sense for them to do, but Weili Zhang being the first Chinese champion, and I guess that's enough. Even though she didn't put up that good of a fight, and Carla Esparza actually has a win over Rose, so it's actually Rose could defend her belt now that she's on top and see if she can beat Carla Esparza now. I think that would be more interesting, make more sense, more of a storyline. But like I said, we'll digress. Weili Zhang, I mean, she hasn't put in enough legwork to really come in and say she's going to beat Rose here. The best thing Weili Zhang did was beat Joanna Jacek to a pulp, make her look like an alien or something. But Rose has already beat Joanna. You know what I'm saying? Rose beat Weili Zhang already. So there's really not. She rematched Jessica Andrade and beat her. Rose Namajunas really looks like the best strawweight on the planet right now, and there's really no reason for me to see to pick Weili Zhang to win this fight. Aside, she trained with Henry Cejudo, a little bit of wrestling. Like, is training wrestling with Henry Cejudo enough to win this fight? I don't know. It may be, but I'm going with Rose Namajunas. Next, we've got Frankie Edgar versus Marlon Vera, and I am going with the answer Frankie Edgar, even at his age. He's at bantamweight. He won his first fight via split decision at bantamweight, I believe, against Pedro Munoz. Then we all seen him get knocked out viciously against Corey Sandhagen, and that was a nasty knockout. I don't know how Frankie Edgar's going to recover from that, how he's going to return from that. I'm worried about it. Marlon Vera is a good fighter, but the thing is, Marlon Vera has really never beat anybody on the caliber of Frankie Edgar. Even the level of competition throughout their careers, there's levels to this shit. Frankie Edgar is on another level. And if Frankie Edgar can win this fight in Madison Square Garden, which I believe he will, I believe it'll set up a huge fight for him with maybe a Jose Aldo or a Dominic Cruz or one of these other bantamweight legends that are still fighting in the UFC. And I think he needs a win here tonight. And I know Frankie Edgar has more than enough skill, athleticism, experience, everything to be able to win this fight against Marlon Vera tonight. So Frankie Edgar for sure. He's an underdog. If I were you guys, I would actually go bet on Frankie Edgar. You don't have. I'm telling you, that's my bet of the night. Edgar and Usman. Parlay those two. Those are my two picks of the night as far as my surest shots. And I would. I don't. What is it? Illegal to give gambling advice? I'm just saying, bet on those guys. They're winning. Usman and Edgar. And if they lose, don't blame me. Now, going on to the next fight, Shane Burgos versus Billy Quarantino. I am going with Burgos, but this one's almost a toss-up for me. Burgos, I'm just going with Burgos. He's fought a little bit tougher competition throughout his career, a little more experience in the UFC, but he's coming off of 2 losses. Um, Quarantino lost to, I think, Gavin Tucker in the only person he's lost to in the UFC, and I think Burgos is a little bit better than Gavin Tucker, so I'm giving Burgos the edge in that fight. That's that's it. Next, we got fucking Gaichi versus Chandler. This might be the best fight of the night. This might be the most entertaining fight of the night. This might be the people's main event. I think it is. Gaichi versus Chandler. Insanity. I love it, but that's really any Gaichi fight. It's when you have a willing opponent. That's what Gaichi brings to this. Because when you have a willing opponent that's willing to get in there and bang with Gaichi, then you're going to have a fight of the night people's main event. Justin Gaichi is the people's champion because he's always in the people's main event. Gaichi is the people's champion. Unfortunately, I am giving the slight edge to Michael Chandler to win tonight. Yeah, at first I was leaning Gaichi, bro. I was leaning Gaichi, and we switched it to Chandler last second. I'm picking Michael Chandler to win tonight. He's got a lot to prove. I mean, Gaichi, as always, does, but he fought for the belt. He's coming off a loss to Habib. Michael Chandler fought for the belt too, but he still has a lot to prove. He lost to the current champion, Charles Oliveira, but he still has a lot to prove in the UFC. This is a place where he's always wanted to prove himself. He reigned in Bellator for so long as the champion, and he was always questioned as if he could succeed in the UFC, was he a legitimate champion? And I think he's still here to prove that he is a legitimate top lightweight in the world, and I think it's going to take a win over Justin Gaichi for that tonight. I think he's going to train harder than he's ever trained. He just got through a 5-week training camp. He's probably just training for this like a championship fight. Gaichi might be as well, but I'm not sure if he has that same motivation as Michael Chandler coming into this fight. And with his style, it's always going to be a dangerous affair. Of course, Justin Gaichi could pull this off, of course, but I am going to give the edge to Michael Chandler. Those are my predictions for UFC 268. As far as Logan Paul versus Mike Tyson, I do think it will happen from the rumors and stuff. And I read Mike Tyson said the fight makes sense. He said he will not fight Jake Paul, but he will fight Logan Paul. He said Jake Paul, his family is really close with, and he's like a little brother, but not so much Logan Paul. So beat him up and take his little brother, maybe. I don't know. No, but it's a big money fight. I would love to see Logan Paul. I want to see Mike Tyson knock somebody out. I'll just say that. And why not a Paul brother? I would love to see him knock out a Paul brother just because who likes those guys? They fucked up YouTube a long time ago. Part of all the censorship and bullshit, but who cares? A long time ago. So I would love to see the fight. And another thing about that fight, about the Paul brothers, I've realized is the Paul brother that Mike Tyson wants to fight is the one that is losing. Even though he's fighting against the greats, he's fighting against the Floyd Mayweathers and such. And the Jake Paul is the one that's undefeated, and he's fighting against the Ben Askrens and the Tyron Woodleys and the Nate Robinsons. So one of the Paul brothers is undefeated, and the other one is just like really challenging himself fighting the goats, and he hasn't got a win yet. So I will throw this back to you guys in the comments. If Mike Tyson and Logan Paul fight, do you think Logan Paul can pick up his first W, or is Mike Tyson getting a knockout? That's what I want to know. And with that being said, that's the end of the video. You guys have heard my predictions. Let me know what you think in the comments. What are your predictions? What do you think happens in Logan Paul versus Mike Tyson? And with that being said, salute again to Mike Dang and the Full-Time family. If you guys want me to cover any MMA topic, any card, put it in the comments. Let me know. Email me. It is what it is. I'm out.